Jane, and I'm excited to have a conversation and just get to know and explain myself a little bit better as well.
Perfect. Okay, so you mentioned you're 19, so are you in college?
Yes, I'm in college right now.
Where, if you don't mind me asking?
I go to University of Arkansas.
Oh, nice. Okay, so is that like your hometown, or like did you move there?
No, so my family, they currently live in Texas, Houston, but I'm kind of from all over, so yeah, and in Arkansas, they do like in-state tuition discounts for like neighboring states and everything, so definitely a big factor. And then they have a really good supply chain program as well.
Oh, so that's what you're studying?
Yes.
Nice, fun. Okay, my kind of question going off of that is, outside of like school and your obligations, what do you feel like you really enjoy doing?
I am a social butterfly, so definitely just being around people and being with friends. I also enjoy going to the gym and exercising, and Arkansas is like the nature state, so getting to go on hikes and everything was definitely a big drawing factor, as well as why I came here, and I love it.
Okay, love that. I'm a hiker myself. I have to take advantage of it since I live in San Diego, so it's a waste if I don't. Okay, my next question is, you are in college, so you're a freshman, sophomore?
I'm a sophomore.
Cool. So do you feel like you have any accomplishments or like personal projects that you're either currently working on or have worked on that you're super proud of?
Yes, there's definitely a couple, but I would say the most recent one is I'm in an RSO, which is like a registered student organization, and we're called Razor Book Reach, and our main focus is giving kids access to books who are like in underdeserved communities and promoting literacy. So we've definitely done a lot of projects. I know last semester it's a brand new RSO, so I was, a founding member, so starting it off, isn't the easiest thing, but we have exceeded our goals with our book drives, and so we usually do like continuous book drives to help, and then we donate them to elementary schools.
Very cool. Is what kind of like got you into that?
Actually, a friend of mine, he was like, you're great with leadership. I think you would be, he's the president, and then I'm VP of this club, and he's like, I think with your skills and expertise, you could definitely make an impact and help out, so.
Very cool. So this is your second year or your first year?
This is my first year with this club. It started last semester.
Oh, okay.
So, but we've had great success.
Very cool. Is it like a specific demographic that you target, or it's just like all kids?
Yes. So we usually are trying to target like elementary schools where the literacy rate is like very low. And a lot of that reason is because kids don't have access to books, or sometimes kids are just not passionate about reading.
Yeah.
So we try to balance it by showing them that I think books are so important, especially in like the younger generations. It's how we learn, so we balance providing opportunities for them to have these books as well as making them enthusiastic.
Very cool. Well, that's like a perfect segue to my next question is, obviously you are very passionate about like providing a sense of like education to students, even in the form of reading, and you are studying like supply chain management. My question is, when you think of the word education, what comes to your head, or like what definition would you give it?
I think that's a question that everyone can answer so differently, but to me, it's definitely changed throughout the years. I was in middle school and I was like, oh, I hate school. This is such a pain. But the word that comes to my mind, I think, would be privilege. Like, it is such a privilege to have access to being able to learn, and especially in today's age with like technology and like all the information we have at our fingertips. I think a lot of people genuinely like think education's like, oh, college or graduate school. But I think it can mean so many different things. But to me right now, I would say it's a privilege to be able to learn, to be able to go to college and go to my classes and learn from my peers.
Yeah, love that. Okay, do you feel like there's like a skill or a topic that should be taught in majority of schools that isn't, or you wish you learned?
This is something that I've learned on my own, but I tutor, and one thing I see a lot of freshmen struggle with is time management. I think It's a difficult subject to teach for sure, because I think it depends on who you are and it varies from person to person. But I think time management is so important. And that's one thing I see a lot of people struggle from going to high school to college their freshman year. They don't know how to manage their time.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely such an important part of being successful.
100%. Okay, I love that. Kind of switching gears a bit.
Mhm.
If you feel comfortable enough to tell me, who do you feel like is someone that you have really been impacted by throughout your life, and why are they so important to you?
The first person that comes to my mind is my mother. Obviously, that's, I feel like a lot of people could say that. But I grew up moving around a lot, so definitely I originally am from Chicago, and then I lived in Canada, and then Texas, and now Arkansas. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint one person, but one thing that I like really believe in is I think there's people who come into your life and they'll teach you a lesson, and sometimes they leave, and that's okay. And I think that's a big life lesson that I've learned. But definitely my mother and my parents.
Yeah.
But
Are you like a military kid, if you don't mind asking?
no, my dad works in the railroad, so kind of transportation industry. So we
So-
made pretty big moves.
Okay, makes sense.
Mhm.
Was the reason you kind of wanted to go into like supply chain, like kind of origin of like your childhood?
Honestly, in some ways, yes, but I was like, I'm never gonna study like what my dad does, like no interest. And then I realized my first semester I took, like my freshman year, I took a supply chain class, and I was like, oh my gosh, I really love supply chain. And moving around, definitely, like I saw the differences and like how different things were packaged. Like in Canada, they have milk bags. They store their milk in bags, which is crazy.
Wait, what? No way.
Yes.
Is that better?
It has different reasons why they do it. It's mainly because it reduces plastic, so sustainability.
Okay.
And then also transporting the milk bags is like way more compact and easier.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Mhm.
Oh, that's so cool. Is there like, I honestly know nothing about supply chain management. So is there like a specific field sector you want to go into?
Yes, there is, but I also am like constantly a person who's open to anything. I don't want to limit myself.
Yeah.
But definitely, I love CPG, which is like consumer packaged goods and working with products,
Okay.
and then retail. But the thing I love about supply chain management is there's so many things you can do with it, and it impacts the world in so many different ways as well.
Yeah. That's good that you're flexible. Is that like, do you feel like you're flexible because you've like grown up having to like move around a lot and like meet new people and things like that?
Oh, for sure. Definitely my adaptability is mainly because of all the moves. And, like when I was a kid, I was like, no, I don't want to leave my friends. But it's taught me so much, and I'm very thankful for it. And it's made me the person I am today. So,
Very cool. Very, very good. Okay. My next question is, like I mentioned earlier, you have few like major passions, but
Mhm.
are you is there like a specific cause or like a social issue that you're really passionate about?
Definitely with the Razor Book Reach, it would have to be promoting literacy. But I mean, there's so many social issues that like I want to address. Sustainability is a big one. Promoting ESG in different companies and making sure that the company that I work for values that.
Yeah.
I also think affordable healthcare is kind of a big thing. I feel like some healthcare companies are almost a monopoly in a way, and I'm not saying free healthcare is the solution, but I definitely think the math doesn't add up with some of the charges that hospitals will do for certain families.
I completely agree with that. I feel like sometimes like when you look at like an itemized bill, you're like, why was I charged this much for a Band-Aid? Wait, hold on. Let's go back. It's so funny. But those are all great social causes. Do you like have any like other clubs on campus that you participate in?
Yes. So another club that I'm very involved in this club is called WISE, which is Women Impacting Supply Chain.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of, supply chain things as well, but also we had like a symposium. So basically a big, huge conference with a bunch of like women in supply chain. And it's just nice to like surround yourself by people who have that same headspace and mindset as you.
Yeah. Very cool, very cool. Okay, my next question is, okay, so you, again, be as like detailed or as big with you want as you want with this one. But what do you feel like is a challenge or like a series of similar challenges that you've had to kind of go through growing up that really shaped you to who you are today, to the perspective that you have on life, like the mentality that you have?
I mean, definitely the moving around was a big challenge, but in a way, I think it could have been one of the best things that happened to me with being adaptable and all that. But I definitely think having to just like be in uncomfortable situations, moving around, going to a new school, it's not comfortable, you know, being with new people, but thankfully I'm extroverted and a social butterfly, so that helped a lot. But I think being in uncomfortable situations have caused me so much growth in my mindsets and overall.
100%. Is this like your college area, like the longest that you stayed in one place? Or
no, I would say Canada was like, well, probably college might be like second place for staying.
oh, okay, so high school was Canada?
High school was Texas and Houston, and then like middle school, all the schools work so differently, was Canada, and then like elementary was Chicago.
Oh, okay, wow. You've like kind of like grown up in different places, like each stage of your life was in somewhere different. That's really cool to like kind of see, but obviously like living it, I'm sure was brutal. But it seems like you have a really good perspective on it, and like obviously you're saying like it taught you so much about adaptability, and like your perspective on it is really great. But do you almost wish that you didn't have that? Like, do you almost wish that you kind of just grew up in one town and like had the same people around you, or do you enjoy like meeting new people, meeting new like different like cultures, cities, things like that?
For me personally, I think definitely at the time I was like, I wish I like stayed in one place and grew up here and knew everyone. And I have 2 younger siblings, so they didn't really have that much of an impact from the move. Because, I mean, when they moved to Texas, like my sister, she was like in 3rd grade. So, you know, pretty still young. But you see, to me, when I think of that, I'm like, all my moves and all the changes that I've been through has really impacted what I want to study, how I am. So I think if it wasn't for those moves, I think it would be a completely different person entirely. Like, change has become the normal to me, so like people are like, oh, do you want to stay in Arkansas after you graduate? And I'm like, no, I like to constantly be changing and constantly seeing and exploring different places.
I love that. Okay, well, this is kind of just a fun question for me. What's the next move? What do you want the next move to be?
Oof, there's several locations I'm interested in. My dream is to do international supply chain and constantly be traveling.
Okay.
Going abroad and just, you know, working with different companies in cross-cultural communication. But as of right now, I'm interested in going back to Chicago. And maybe a city, something new, but there's really not one specific place where I'm like, I need to end up here or I want to end up here.
Okay, very good. Very good to be flexible, you know? Love that. I wish I was you, honestly. I've lived in the same place my entire life, and I'm 24. So I need to get out.
It's San Diego, right?
Yeah, it's San Diego. Like, I love it, but
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, no, it's great, honestly. Next move should be here.
Oh, yeah, I've heard such great things about it, and like the weather and everything, and
it's great. It's just a little expensive, but you'll be so fine with it, so you're good. Okay, my kind of last question is, obviously you've done a lot in your life, you know, being so young, you've experienced a lot in terms of like moving and the organizations that you've been a part of. College is an experience of and of itself. So I guess going back in time, if you were to receive one pinnacle piece of advice, or if you could give a really great piece of advice to someone going through similar challenges that you have faced, what would it be, or what would you love to hear?
I know my answer to this question, and it's gonna sound a little bit harsh, but it's this is like what works with me and my personality is to stop making excuses. I mean, almost like the stoic personality, at the end of the day, there's these external circumstances that can happen to you that are out of your control, but internally, you're in control of what you do or how you react to that. And that's a big lesson that I've learned. I have not always been this way. You know, I used to be the biggest excuse maker ever. Oh, I can't do this because of that. But at the end of the day, like, it's your future. You're in control. For the most part, obviously there are external circumstances that can happen, but I think that's the best piece of information or advice that I've been given.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I feel like that applies to so many other scenarios and like challenging situations I've gone through. So I love that. It's a very good, mature piece of advice, because sometimes you kind of have to like hit yourself over the head sometimes and be like, stop.
Yes.
Okay, so that was my last like actual question, but if you have anything that you want to share, like emphasize a certain point, you can freely do that, but like don't feel pressured to do so.
I mean, just definitely what I said earlier about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations to grow. I think obviously you can't just get up and pack your things and like move from one second to the other, but just doing things that are difficult or hard and, you know, aren't easy, I think definitely has impacted me a lot. And I force myself to do some of these things. And, you know, I don't love it every second, but each day I aim to like grow at least 1% is kind of what I tell myself.
Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this person's story, don't forget to subscribe below to hear more from our inspiring youth. If you want to apply for our Storyteller Scholarship or get more involved in our organization, click the link below to apply. Thanks for watching!